2 weeks ago, I visited Mozambique to inaugurate a new province in the Anglican Communion. While there, we went up north to the area where ISIS is very active indeed. It's a beautiful country, generous people recovering from civil war and now facing an atrocious extremist insurgency. Last week in Ukraine, standing by a mass grave, I met people who, with astonishing resolve, face a winter under Russian bombardment explicitly to destroy civilian infrastructure. These are two images of suffering which could be replicated in over 50 other countries around the world. We know, and I want to make that absolutely clear and underline it, that Britain can neither resolve these problems by ourselves, nor can or should we take everyone who flees such devastation. It is beyond our capacity. But we do need to take a lead. How we shape our policies must look into the faces and must listen to the voices. And recognition of human dignity is the first principle which must underpin our asylum policy. A hostile environment is an immoral environment.
My Lords, during the passage of the Nationality and Borders Bill earlier this year, several peers justified their opposition by claiming that most voters who wanted greater immigration controls did so on a false understanding. Basically, that these voters could be ignored because they weren't sufficiently informed. Now, according to YouGov's latest tracker poll published on Monday this week, 56% of all UK adults believe that the rate of immigration to the UK is too high. And let's be clear, they are people of all colours, faiths and religions. Some themselves will be immigrants or children of immigrants, and they deserve to be heard and understood. My Lords, what I know is that dismissing people's concerns fuels divisions and drives distrust in the democratic process. And if we are serious about building a more prosperous and cohesive society, we need to show we are proud to be living alongside the great people of this country who are what makes us successful and whose good character is what attracts talent and like-minded people from all around the world.
The refugee issue is testing our humanitarian principles to the ultimate. It will determine in our response what sort of country we are, what sort of country we want to be seen, but particularly how we value our fellow human beings who suffered greatly from persecution, from wars and conflict. As somebody who came as a refugee, this country has been pretty terrific to me. I value that, and I know that refugees coming today will also value being able to live in this country, find safety, get on with education, get work, and become part of our local communities.
The government seems to focus on excluding asylum seekers. What we don't hear about is what effort is going into dealing with the smugglers, the criminals, as distinct from re-victimising their victims. The criminals are able to tweak their business model or move it to, say, Rwanda, if they're not prosecuted and penalised. The motion refers to forced migration, and climate change is forcing it, with migrants so far displaced within their own region. People will take avoiding action, that's not economic migration, and will be planning ahead, and so should the UK be, with compassion, confidence and practical common sense. So we're left with the question, in the context of the current and anticipated international situations, what does the government regard as the UK's fair share?
My Lords, there are many problems refugees face while waiting for their application to be processed. They are often taken advantage of by the unscrupulous employers who pay them next to nothing, never mind the minimum wage. Private landlords who often charge high premium to rent out a room or a house. Many are forced to work in a sex industry to make ends meet. Many women face domestic violence as a result of being taken advantage of by the predators. So there is a cost to the police, to the National Health Service, to the school and to the housing sector. All I ask the government is to invest in a proper asylum system more and treat people who are fleeing tyranny and prosecution in their own country with dignity and compassion.
My Lords, it's no secret that the UK's asylum system has of late come under severe strain. This year we have seen around 40,000 people arriving by small boats. Around 100,500 individuals are currently on asylum support. The cost of accommodating asylum seekers in hotels has reached more than £5 million a day. Clearly, something has got to change. Whilst we know there are many people in difficult situations around the world, the UK cannot possibly accommodate everyone who might wish to come here. We continue to welcome people through the existing global UK resettlement scheme, community sponsorship, mandate resettlement scheme and the Afghan resettlement schemes. The government's refugee resettlement schemes are focused on those with the greatest need, as determined by the UN Refugee Agency. We agree with the point that many have made today, that it is unacceptable that there are so many outstanding claims awaiting a decision. My Lords, this is undoubtedly a significant task, but I can assure the House that efforts to address the backlog and alleviate the current pressures will continue in earnest.